So everyone wants to know what's going on with BNGO. It's gone up nearly 3,000% and it's come down nearly 50%. So it's going to jump right in. Looking at the daily, you can see here that we had a gap that had formed. We never closed it. The gap that needed to close was at 11.61 and we hit highs at 11.53. We came down, retested a support range. The low is at 8.05. The lowest of this range is going to be at 7.52. Before picking back up, getting rejected. Like I said, we might. Now we're trying to hold above this breakout range. We bounced here once before making higher lows. Now we're coming back down to it. I'm not too sure if that range is going to hold. I'm wondering if we might come down further and retest this $8 range. Let me show you why. So going into my trends, you can see here at the very beginning, we had about 2 billion shares. We actually had about 2.1 billion shares traded in just the 4 days. So a lot of positions were built up in there. We rised up to 7.24 highs before coming down to 3.91 lows. This channel is formed, but we're forming with lower volume, way lower volume than before, which is of course normal because it's 2.1 billion shares. And that's going to be hard to do as the price gets higher and higher. So this channel holds, we make higher lows, volume comes in again, which is nice, pushes the price up. We come down into the middle of this range. We're still kind of holding, though we get an extension, an overextension out of the channel with lower volume than all the days before, which is never a good thing. We come back down into this middle range. Now we're trying to hold the upper part. All the meanwhile, we have lower volume. Lower volume, while the price rises, is not a good thing as well. You want more volume to come in as the price rises because you want that volume to support the higher price. If there's no volume to support the higher price, then of course it's going to come down. And as you can see here at this point where we should have held the channel, this point right here is actually the lowest volume day since the very beginning of the trend. And of course, now we're starting to form a downtrend. So let's go ahead and go over to my zones here. You can see here, this was the last day of higher volume before we pushed up into this rally. That rally starts to subside and then consolidate. We still have lower volume, as I mentioned, lower volume. And we have this zone that was created from this resistance that had formed on January 19th. The high of that was 9.95. We opened up at 9.31. We're trying to hold inside of this range, as you can see, for Friday, Thursday and Friday. This is why I don't think that it's going to be able to hold, because, I mean, we just barely got into it. We just barely got into that. And most of these shares at this range between 9.38 to 10. So when did we get into 9.38 and to 10? Well, we shot right over it for one. And when we came down, we had this low volume right here on these 2 days. So all the shares that were in there couldn't really support that range. I'm thinking if we come down further, we have more shares that were traded between the $7.50 to $8 range, which is more support. So, in my opinion, what I think could possibly happen based off of this volume range right here is that we do maybe come down back into this $8, $7.50 to $8 range. Maybe we test 8 and drop further down, creating a wick just to scare more people out who think that we're going to drop even further before picking back up into this $8 range. And then from there, it's very possible that we just have consolidation between 7.52 to the $10 range, which would be quite nice because what is that? That's roughly a 30% range. Say we don't, say we just get the middle of that. Well, that's about 15%, which is still good for the swing traders because, for one, I'm thinking that investors and firms are going to come in and build up a position because BNGO is still a good company. It's just that it was overdriven by hype. And investors aren't going to pay all the way up here at $15 when they can get better shares, better price for their shares, for their positions. So I'm thinking that we kind of have this consolidation that forms before we start to push back up, so that way, once we do push back up, whoever built up their positions between the firms and institutions, they're going to have a pretty good sizable play going forward once the hype comes back in, which judging off of like DKNG and Workhorse, as I mentioned in my past videos, the hype came in before dropping down. So what I'm thinking is it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing. We just kind of consolidate into this range. We have this $12 price point up here. I don't think it's going to overshoot it until we get more of a catalyst, or until the firms and institutions have built up their positions. So, I mean, BNGO, like I said, is a good company. It was overdriven by hype, but that doesn't mean that it's just going to come all the way back down to like the $1 range. Of course not. I think it's probably just going to hold between this area, between 8 and 10, like I said, and maybe trend higher up. So we'll see. I mean, there's still plenty of time. I think it's going to take a couple of weeks, unless, like I said, a catalyst were to come out. But you never really know. One could come out this weekend. One could come out next week. We'll see. But until then, just based off of the chart alone, institutions and firms, they're not going to pay the higher price. They're going to want to build their positions at a lower price, and they're going to do what they have to in order to scare the new retailer out of their position in order to get that price. So I wish everybody luck with their positions. I know if you're just investing, you're okay, but if you're day trading, well, things can be played a little bit better. If you're day trading and swing trading, you might be able to get that consolidation and recover some of those losses if you bought up towards the top and sold. Or if you're holding, well, if you're holding, you can always average down. That's not financial advice, that's just an opinion, but I would always wait to make sure that the consolidation holds first. Always test it out, make sure you have a plan. If you don't, maybe paper trade for a little bit and start to develop a plan, and then come back. Don't just follow YouTube hype. Do your own due diligence. You can always trust me because I don't have BNGO positions, and I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to be completely unbiased when it comes to it. And if you want to talk more on stocks, then you can always follow us in our Discord group, free Discord. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Take care and thank you.